Our success board. So last month in April, 103 of our clients found work.
Oh, success board. Is all candidates' name?
Not everybody, because we couldn't fit 103 people here.
Oh.
But we've got their name, their position, and the company that they got a job with.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I just want to ask you, do you have any success stories?
So that's just from April. And then right now we're doing our May report. And then over here, we've got some of our client stories about, they're all on our website as well. But it shows about like how they found work, what the differences they saw between their home country and here.
So what's the first case? The first one.
Oh, we've had them when we give them their resume. They go to the place where we tell them and they call us back an hour later.
Really? That's cool.
Now, in the reception area, you probably won't want to get clients' faces because we'd have to get their permission.
Okay. So the clients will waiting here, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so when the person first comes in, they're going to come here and sign up for services. Or it can also be done on our website as well. People can actually register and then they can go to employment services and request an employment.
So what kind of requirements to register this program?
So for people that are looking, they'd have to have their immigration documents, like their permanent resident card or their work permit.
Work permit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
Great. So Amy, can you please provide overall of the employment services offered by the Immigrant Centre for the new immigrants?
Sure. Immigrant Centre's employment services, we serve all newcomers that are not born in Canada that are legally allowed to work in Canada. So we're able to assist people with their permanent residency. We can assist people with open work permits, and we can even assist people after they've gotten their citizenship as well. So really helping newcomers for as long as they need it. Here at Immigrant Centre, we specialize in assisting people with intermediate English and below. There's other organizations that are more geared towards assisting people that are fluent in English or that are professionals looking for more professional positions. But what Immigrant Centre does is we really help people find their entry-level work, especially the entry-level jobs in their career of choice or their field of choice.
It's good to know. Yes. So can you tell us that what kind of challenges the new immigrants normally face when they're searching for a job? And how does our Immigrant Centre help them to address this kind of challenges?
Yeah, I think for a lot of newcomers, when they come, they don't know anything about the Canadian labor market or what is appropriate culturally when you're looking for a job or doing job interviews. What our job here at Immigrant Centre is we prepare people to be able to be independent in their job search. A lot of newcomers will come to us and expect that we just have a drawer full of jobs that we're giving out to newcomers. And it's actually very different in that we're teaching them how to be independent, how to find their own job, so that in the future, if they are looking for jobs again, they don't need to keep coming back to us. They've already got those skills and they can take care of themselves. So the first thing we do is we meet one-on-one with our clients for about 90 minutes.
90 minutes?
90 minutes.
Yeah. I remember that we have a one-on-one program. I think that's really cool, really helpful. Yeah.
And it's really about getting to know our clients. What are your goals? What are your abilities? What education or experience do you have? And what might you be missing that the Canadian employers are looking for? Also, after that appointment, we're helping people to create an action plan, helping them with their resume. If people have lower English skills, we'll write the resume for them. But if their skills are high enough, then we're helping them to learn how to edit their own resumes so that they can have those skills in the future as well. And then we go on to teach about job search, what's appropriate for job search, what are the ways that a lot of people try that are not very effective, what are things that are more effective in job search, how to prepare for job interview. We teach about the Canadian workplace culture and expectations, communication in the workplace. We even teach about employment standards, human rights. What
And
do you do?
They are all one-on-one programs, or sometimes we have some workshops.
So for the most part, in the past, we would do a lot more one-on-ones for the job search, job interview, and the Canadian workplace culture. And we still will sometimes do more one-on-one, depending on a client's language level. But for the most part, we're doing workshops at the moment. We're in 2023 at the moment, and with all of the Ukrainian newcomers that have recently come in the last year,
Yeah, I know.
we've really had to increase our capacity to see more clients. So we're doing more workshops, but sometimes one-on-ones are available.
Yeah, that's great. You mean that the service will be flexible based on the candidates' backgrounds, right?
Based on their needs and their preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Even for our one-on-one appointments, we can offer that in person or via Zoom. We can do it at our regular office hours, 8:30 to 4:30, or if someone's not available at that time, we can do it in the evenings or Saturdays. Our workshops are available either in the mornings or afternoons or evenings. We even have some workshops available on Saturdays.
Very flexible.
Really trying to cater to the needs of our clients.
Yeah, that's great. And I forgot to ask you one question. Very important. They're all free?
Yeah, all of our services are free of charge.
Really?
We also give additional training and things like food handler certificate. We have very limited funding for first aid certificates, but for people, for example, if you are a doctor or a nurse in your home country and you're looking to work in healthcare, but you have no money to be able to pay for that certificate, in some cases, we can pay for that certificate training as well. We have customer service, loss prevention training, and we even have a commercial cleaning basics training where a lot of people think, why do I need to take training on how to clean offices?
Yeah.
But once you get into the training, you realize you can do the job or you can do the job well.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if you know how to do the job well, you can double the amount that you're making if you're an efficient worker, depending on how fast you can go and how smart you can clean offices.
So for the certificate training, they are all free.
Yeah.
And how long will it last?
Each certificate's going to be different.
For example, nurse.
Pardon me?
For example, nurse. How long it will last?
We don't have any training for nurses specifically, but there's a first aid certificate. So a person wouldn't be a nurse in Canada. They'd have to go through about 2 to 3 year process to become a nurse in Canada.
That's why I asked that. Yeah.
But for example, if a person was a nurse in another country and they want to work in home care or as a healthcare aide, sometimes they might be able to get that kind of training and start working in healthcare, not as a nurse, but at least get that entry level position in their field while they're going through the certification process.
That is a certificate for entry level to entry that field.
Exactly.
And how long it will last, this kind of training?
There's different types of certificates, so it really depends. We are able to fund the emergency first aid certificate. Again, we're seeing about 1,700 clients. We have funding to certify 60 people per year. So it's very limited the amount of people we could certify. But it would be a 1-day training. And if the people pass the written test and they pass the physical demonstration that they know what they're doing, then their certificate, I believe it's 1 year, but I could be wrong because I don't have the certificate myself. And so it really depends. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's new.
The food handler certificate I know is good for 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah. But the first aid, I think one part of it is good for a year. Another part of it might be good for longer. But again, we'd have to talk to the actual certifying institution to ask specifically how long things last. Yeah.
And are there any specialized services or resources available for new immigrants with a professional background or very special skill set?
Yeah, that's a great question. Immigrant Manitoba is a wonderful website to go to see about newcomers' professions and see, is it a registered profession? Do I need to get registered with an association, or could they get their credentials recognized as well? And so in Manitoba, there are differing programs, but it can change from year to year on what's available. And so usually going to that website, Immigrant Manitoba, is a good idea, because then you can see what's actually available given the time. If a person is fluent in English and is a professional and is looking to work in their field and isn't looking for entry level, there's other organizations like Manitoba Start that they do a little bit more credential recognition programs and things like that. So there are those programs available.
Another question is that many new immigrants came to Canada and they complain that it's very, very hard to find a job. And how do you to solve this problem? I mean that the labor market is limited. And how did you find or have the connection with the employers, the local employers, to provide or create some job opportunities for the new immigrants?
It's funny because it depends on the person you ask whether the labor market is great or is bad. One newcomer
that's a tricky question,
One newcomer will come and say, it's fantastic. There's jobs everywhere. It's so easy to find work.
Really?
And then other newcomers come and they say, I can't find anything. Part of it is attitude, and part of it is, are you doing what worked back home, or are you doing what works here?
Yes.
And so sometimes people come with the expectation that they're going to move to a new country, a new culture, and they're going to be able to start off exactly where they were before, or ahead of where they were before. But you're building a reputation in Canada. And so it takes time to build that reputation. It's not necessarily about Canadian work experience. It's about your reputation here in the community. And so sometimes we notice that newcomers reject job offers, or they don't apply for jobs that they think might be below them. But we say oftentimes those are the first steps to building your reputation and to getting the job that you want. In Canada, on average, for every $10,000 you're making per year, it's going to take you 1 month of job search. Yeah. So if you're looking for a job, they're making $30,000 a year, it'll take you about 3 months to find work. If you're looking for a job that you're paid $90,000 a year, it's going to take you about 9 months. Because usually the jobs that pay more, you have to take more tests. It's not just one job interview. And so you might go through 2 or 3 different job interviews and tests to go through as well. And then finally at the end, they might have the posting out and they actually offer you the job 6 or 7 months after the posting was released. So it's really helping people that get an understanding of how the labor market works here. We also work with employers. So daily we have employers calling us or walking in the door and asking us to help them find positions. So we will either take the resumes of the clients that we have on hand and forward them on to the employers, or we'll tell our clients to go to that employer and apply in person. Or sometimes we'll even have employer events where we either have the employer meeting our clients on Zoom and the employer describes the jobs and people can apply that way or even do interviews. Or we can even take a group of clients to visit an employer where they'll do a tour, get to know the employer, and sometimes even have job interviews right after that.
Okay, I have one more question about this part. So you just mentioned that you will connect with some local employers to create or to provide some job opportunities. Once the candidate get the job or get the position, do they need to pay for the employers? No. So I just want to ask, what's your concept or what's your perspective for those kind of things? I mean that some employers ask money from the candidate. Is that legally in Canada?
That would have to be something that you check with a lawyer and talk with employer like employment standards about. But really employers are supposed to pay their workers they're not supposed to get money from their workers. And so if an employer is charging money to give someone a job, they might be putting themselves at a liability.
Yes.
And they might actually be putting themselves in danger, the employers themselves. So yeah, it's very, for me too, I wonder if an employer is doing that kind of thing, what kind of an employer are they?
What kind of employer?
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah.
In the past, there were many employers that were abusing the system. And that's why in the past, there was a lot more opportunity for employers to hire in foreign workers through the LMIA program.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask.
Now it's greatly reduced because of the fact that employers were abusing their foreign worker employees so much. So it's much more difficult for an employer to get an LMIA than it was, let's say, 10 or 15 years ago. Because the program, the Canadian government saw that some of the employers were taking advantage.
Yeah, so we already reduced this kind of program.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, they want to give opportunities to the people already in Canada.
Yes.
Yeah. Too.
Yeah. That's why I saw that that program is a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
Right.
It's much more difficult for an employer to get an LMIA than it was 10 years ago, because they really have to show that nobody else in Canada is able to take the job.
We already have a lot of new immigrants and local people to find a job.
And in some cases, what employers have had to do is increase their wages in order to employ people. And giving more fair wages helps everybody.
Yeah. And do you have any words for the new immigrants?
I think one of the best things to do is to, when you're in Canada, reach out to different people. Culture shock is a real thing. Usually people experience it in the 6 to 9 month mark, where things have not been as easy as they expected it to be. Or even just looking around at things, the culture, the expectations are a lot more different than back home, and what you tried back home that worked really well doesn't necessarily work here. So make sure to reach out to people in Canada, especially people that have been through it and they might be in Canada for 5 or 10 or 15 years or longer.
Yeah, just like me.
Yeah. And for example, on our website, on Immigrant Centre's website, we have success stories. And one of the questions we ask the clients that we're able to find jobs is, what advice would you give to other newcomers? So sometimes reading about those stories, because it's important to realize when you get to that point where you feel like you made a mistake and you don't like Canada and you're tired of the language and you're tired of the cold or the culture, that's completely normal. And that's part of the process of adaptation. And so just realizing that you haven't done anything wrong, you're doing great. Everyone goes through that period. But reaching out to others when you're in that sometimes depressed or kind of self-destructive mode is really important to be able to get out, because if you isolate yourself or if you only reach out to people from back home, it's going to make adapting and succeeding in Canada that much more difficult.
That's why I joined this program. I mean that I connected with Rosa as a volunteer, and I also joined the nutrition programs
and giving back, doing things like giving back, reaching out and helping others is huge. Everyone needs a purpose.
Thank you, Amy. I think that's all questions.
I'm sorry for some of the questions. I was like, oh, how am I going to answer this?